regardless of how fixed I am on my goals, I'm always conscious about where I'm at so that I can pave a pathway that's going to be specific to where I'm at. If I'm having a hard time getting up in the morning and I have some goals in the morning, hey, I got to know that that's a problem for me. I need to go to bed a little earlier. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't know where you're at, you still just be moving in your regular program and setting yourself up for failure, essentially. You know what I'm saying? When you're not able to tell the truth about where you're at.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
All right, welcome. Welcome to the Lead Your Life podcast. And today we have my brother, my best friend of 20 plus years. This man is the most amazing father. He's a husband. He's a promoter. He's a realtor. He wears many different hats. He's my own personal mentor and helps me out through a lot of challenges in leading my life. I have my friend here, Victor Elmo, and he also goes by Vic the Realtor or Vic. Whatever you want to call him, he's the man, and he's here with us today. We're going to have a discussion today. We're going to be talking about what truth is. That's what we've been talking about these past few weeks, about what truth is to us and being authentic and what that actually looks like. So, Victor, I got you here today, and I'm glad you're here.
Pleasure to have you here speaking to you. Truth is just, for me, is just being honest with me about where I'm at. A lot of times we're really focused about where we're trying to go, and we kind of get that message mixed up, right? There's where we're trying to go and then where we're really at. In order to know where you're going, you got to know where you're at, right? So for me, regardless of how fixed I am on my goals, I'm always conscious about where I'm at so that I can pave a pathway that's going to be specific to where I'm at. If I'm having a hard time getting up in the morning and I have some goals in the morning, hey, I got to know that that's a problem for me. I need to go to bed a little earlier. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't know where you're at, you still just be moving in your regular program and setting yourself up for failure, essentially. You know what I'm saying? When you're not able to tell the truth about where you're at.
Yeah, and I remember always asking, because just for people that don't know, me and Victor both have similar backgrounds as far as coming from a disturbed neighborhood, single mother, growing up in poverty, and we both took two different paths by the decisions that we made. And I used to always ask you, I used to be like, man, how do I find this? You used to always be like, man, you need to get some awareness. I'm like, what's awareness? How you get awareness? You used to give me tips and tell me, hey, you got to meditate. You got to sit with yourself. You got to be true. You got to be in your truth. And I used to always run from that. But as I started to really find my own path, I started to understand what that really looked like, like just having that self-awareness. And in that, I started to be able to become a leader of my life,
Right.
And I just want you to explain, like, how was you able to, what helped you guide your decisions on always making, like, just to stay on the right path, making the best decision instead of taking the easy road?
Well, very, very early on, I was able to just identify who I want to be more like. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't have the blinders. I wasn't really attracted to the shiny stuff. I was attracted to people who had a pure heart, who were authentic about who they are, right? And when I say pure, pure doesn't mean you have to be the best person in the world, but how much of yourself are you? How less influenced are you from the environment? So if you're a funny guy and you want to be funny, you're allowed to be funny regardless of your environment. You know what I'm saying? If you are a nice guy and regardless of the environment you grew up in, you were nice to people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So where I grew up at, a lot of people were influenced and had to put on a particular type of face. And the people that I looked up to the most were the people that I was able to see who they were, right? So for me, my goal was, figuring out who I was and then being true to who that person is, right? So for me, I was into acting. I was into dancing. You know, there was quite a bit of friends of mine that were into sports. I was into sports as well, but I was also into the other stuff as well. So it was always a constant battle on like, can I be true to my creativity? Could I be true to myself? Could I be this funny dancing fun-having person that also played basketball and football? You know what I'm saying? So these are all things that I kind of went through, and I always had those conversations with myself, like, why is it okay? Why is there a battle to begin with? And then once I started working through those things, I allowed myself to be myself. I'll be proud of who I am and finding the community of other people who were into the things that I was into as well.
But I've always respected the fact that you was never a person that followed the crowd. Although everybody else we was either playing football or we was into the music, whatever was the new thing on campus, you was always going left. And I've watched you grow up until this point, and it's been real inspiring to see my brother, to see somebody I can actually look up to, but also as an equal, but somebody who I look up to, and I'm grateful for you.
Nah, absolutely. I think it just really stems from having a conversation with yourself. A lot of people like to talk to other people, you know what I'm saying? But I like to talk to myself a lot as well. You know what I'm saying? And just really kind of figure out, okay, what are you feeling on the inside? How you feeling today? Hey, you got offended in this moment. Why did you get offended? And kind of turning all my questions inward versus outward, right? So the truth, is gonna always turn back to you. You know what I'm saying? So if it's an answer that you're looking for out there, then that's not necessarily the truth for you. It's not your truth. It may be a truth for somebody else, but it might not be your truth. So whenever you're searching for your truth, there's gonna be questions that you question yourself. Why did that happen? I think part of being aware is what we call being woke, right? So some people say being woke, they have different definitions of being woke, but for me, it's just being 100% conscious of what's going on, right?
All the way
So
around. Health,
100%.
wealth, mental, what's going
And,
on
and,
under the hood, everything.
and most people are afraid to really look and see what's going on under the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They're afraid of stepping on the weight scale, right? They'll work out, try to eat good, but they're afraid of the truth. They don't want to see what's on the weight scale. There are people who are struggling with their finances that don't want to open up their bank account and see exactly what they're spending their funds on. There's a lot of anxiety associated with that. But when it comes to finding your truth, you need to know what's going on. You got to be 100% aware and know the truth, because we can't get where we're trying to get to without actually knowing where we're at, right? So
Absolutely.
you need to know, hey, I spent $500 on fast food last month. That's probably why my account's in the negative this month. You need to know that, hey, you're 30 pounds over your normal weight, you know, and then you're tracking that on a daily basis. So for me, when it came to kind of getting my finances in order, I found it was extremely important for me to know exactly where I'm at all times. So I made a conscious effort to open up my bank account and see it every morning, afternoon, and evening. I would open up my account and see where my account is, even if I know nothing has went through. But I want to be at 100% consciousness about where I'm at financially, because I'm trying to get to a certain place. I'm trying to save up a certain amount of thousands of dollars. I can't save that unless I know exactly how much I'm spending. I know exactly how much my expenses are and how much passive income do I have. You know what I'm saying? How much what you call it, allowance income do I have? Because you got to save your allowance as well, But you can't get to that point if you're never opening up your account. You're never stepping on the scale. You're never extremely conscious about where you're at.
You know, I just recently came across something like, they talk about vibrations and what's the highest vibration. And I found out the
Mhm.
highest vibration that you can absolutely be on is authenticity, living
100%.
in your truth. No matter
100%.
whether you are true with your health, true with your finances, true with your mental, wherever you at, if you are living there and in your truth and being okay with it, that's where opportunities come at. And that's where options to be able to grow and to be able to expand come at. Even when it comes, like you're saying, about finances, once I started looking at my bank account, I started being more aware and I'm like, can't spend that. But when I don't look, because
Mhm.
out of shame or out of guilt, I'll turn around and look at my bank account later. Next thing you know, it was overdrawn, and I
And
know
it's
that
very
it's
important.
mindsets.
It's very important to put that into perspective, what we were just talking about, right? When it comes to truth and knowing where you're at, right? Knowing where you're at does not necessarily mean accepting where you're at, right? It's
Absolutely.
about knowing where you're at in respects to where you're going. You understand what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
So, because some people can step on a scale and be like, all right, man, I'm 300 pounds, I'm 400 pounds, man, forget it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm negative $200 in my account. Man, forget it, right? And they just chunk their hands up and they don't have any ambitions because they've accepted where they're at. No, knowing your truth is saying, this is where I'm at. This is my starting point, right? And then paving a path from your start point to where you're trying to go, right?
I
So
like to use
sometimes it's very
goals. I like to use goals in that aspect. Setting a
correct.
goal, a smart goal, something that's specific, measurable,
hundred
achievable,
percent,
and
100%,
that's timed. Man, you gonna get there. And if you got a
hundred
goal,
percent,
it don't matter where you are at in the moment. You know that ain't where you're gonna be at permanently, like you said. That's not where you.
hundred
That's not where
percent,
you're gonna be at. But you gotta
hundred
know.
percent,
You gotta have some awareness. And
hundred percent.
like we're talking about now, this week's message is about living in truth and being authentic. And
Mhm,
it's very helpful, even emotional when you're dealing with different types of emotions. You know what I've been dealing with this past week
mhm,
with the kids and just understanding where I'm at and having a certain sense of understanding that hey, this is where I'm at and this is okay. It's okay that I'm here, but this ain't where I'm gonna be forever. And I'm growing. And I can use this opportunity to grow.
Believing Before Seeing, a new bestseller by Candace Barr. Order your copy today.
it's a scary place. You know what I'm saying? The truth hurts a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people try to deviate from the truth. And it's important that we have truthful conversations with ourselves before the world throws the truth at us, right? You know what I'm saying? So when you're able to have these very hard pressed conversations with yourself about where you're at, you're able to endure any conflicts or some of the conflicts that get thrown your way, right?
Yeah.
Because some people are so afraid of facing especially these unwanted truths about themselves, right? So the best thing to do is just ignore it, right?
Or play
Pretend it
blame.
isn't there. Yeah,
I'll point it on the outside, put it on somebody else.
and that right there, that's what I said earlier about truth is within, right? Some people believe that, hey, I'm going to analyze this moment and I'm going to find truth that it is this person's fault. If there's ever a time that you're pointing the truth outward, that is a lie. You know what I'm saying? The truth has to always come from within, and
Another
that's the
big part
truth
of
that
that.
you can deal with.
Another big part of that truth is being accountable. Like I've been using being accountable in a lot of my situations to be able to find my truth. If it's my fault, even though I can find reason why it may not be my fault, but if I find ownership in it, I can be able to find a way to be like, oh, I got opportunity to make the changes. I got opportunity to be in the driver's seat. And I can be able to find
Completely.
truth in that. And I even just looking back at certain situations, like there's always something I could have did. different,
100%.
which makes me
100%.
my decision making for the future a lot more conscious, a lot more aware. I know that, hey, I can think through this. I know that I can be able to move forward without it being placing blame outwards. That I can make a better decision,
100%.
and just whatever comes my way now, I can be like, oh, you know what? I know what I did last time. I ain't gonna do that again this time. I
100%.
understand that this where this potential situation can lead me, and it could potentially be my fault, and I don't want to go down
Mhm.
that road. So if I
And
take ownership,
sometimes we have to understand taking responsibility doesn't mean taking fault, right? You can take the responsibility without taking the blame for something. And I think that's where we kind of get things misconstrued, and we don't allow ourselves to take responsibility for moments. You know what I'm saying? Taking responsibility means, hey, I own it, and moving forward, I'm going to make sure that it's done responsibly, right? That's taking responsibility, right? But we're so afraid of, a lot of times we're afraid of being blamed, right?
yeah,
And we're afraid of that blaming because it comes with a certain level of shame, especially when we're talking about the past. We can't
yeah,
change the past. The past is the past, right? But what you can do, you can own it from where you are and move forward. But anytime we
absolutely.
got to point back there and we got to talk about what happened back then, who we can't help those matters. You know what I'm saying? But we can help what we're gonna do moving forward. That's with our finances, with our family, with our fitness. You know what I'm saying? Those are the three F's that I live by: family, fitness, and finances. Those are the
Those,
three areas that I'm constantly working on. Right.
those values right
So,
there.
man, you know, and once we kind of really hone in on those things, right? Um, when we can put a program, but all of it starts with responsibility. You know, all of each one of those departments starts with responsibility. You got to take responsibility for your health. Like I've had challenges with my family. I've had challenges with my fitness. I've had challenges with my finances, and and sometimes I got one together and the other not. You know what I'm saying? And then then it all flips all around, and I got my fitness together. It's a constant. This life is constant, right? As long as you stay in the game and you continue to show up, right? You've already won half the battle, and that's how I look at it. Because I stopped judging myself on whether I was good or bad or great or not great at something. My main objective with those three departments that I mentioned to just show up. If I show up, I've won more than half the battle.
Yes.
Period. Just
You know, and
show up.
last week I talked about that. We had a conversation before, like, man, sometimes I just suck, but I showed up. Even this week, this conversation may help one person out there to understand it's okay to have these kind of conversations. It's okay to live in your truth. It's okay to be responsible and to be authentic. Be authentic in who you are and where you're at. And these things are okay. And I love to show people that two brothers can have this conversation,
Hmm.
especially for where I came from. And if people know your background, you had a rough background, but you still chose to make the right decisions. You didn't use your background and how you grew up as a crutch. And you don't got to go that route. You didn't have to go that route. You actually made good decisions. And
And I, I'm glad you said the I know I suck, right? Because sometimes when we're focused on motivating ourselves, we're focused on moving forward, pressing forward. We want to pump a lot of belief into ourselves, right? And sometimes in pumping that belief into yourself, you get stuck in this imposter thing, right? Where you're telling yourself you're great, but internally you don't feel great. Internally you feel like you're putting on a face, right? So I've used a different method that may not be so popular, but I use the I suck and so what? I'm still going to show up, right? Method. And what that allowed me to do was to remove the anxiety of being so perfect.
Yes.
I relieve myself of being perfect. And now I'm focused on giving maximum effort because a lot of times we've disqualified ourselves because we're not good enough. But really, the good that we're looking for is how much effort can you put in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but that good or bad is really a comparative thing. I'm not as good as Isaiah in football, so therefore I'm not good. No,
Yeah.
I'm not good. I relieve myself of the anxiety of being good. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give every rep my best because we talk about, I mentioned two things and I'm going to touch back on that. Growing up in tough environments, right? I grew up in a tough environment. Everybody where I grew up with would be ranking on each other. We called it scoring back in Dallas. And you had to learn to fight. And in most times, you'll be fighting somebody who can fight better than you. And I
For
picked up
real.
the term, I had to remove fear. I came into fights knowing that I would lose. I'm like, yo, hey, Isaiah, I think you can beat me up. I told you that in college. Hey, I
Yeah.
think Isaiah can beat me up, but still step in my office. We finna squabble. I'm gonna fight you, win, loss, or draw, and know that I may lose. And it doesn't matter because I'm not fighting to lose. I'm fighting to give my best effort to let you know I got heart, to let you know I
And
got passion.
that philosophy applies to life. That philosophy applies to life. I'm not I'm not showing up just for life, just to come in because I'm trying to be better than the next person. I'm showing up because I just want to show up and be the best version I can today. I got a
100%.
stuffy nose, man. I got allergies bothering me today. And
Come
I'm
on.
grateful you showed up, man. And I'm just showing up. And I'm gonna keep showing up every Tuesday to share some good, positive information with anybody who want to listen and join us, and just see two people trying to elevate and be leaders of their own life. I ain't trying to be a follower. I ain't trying to do what the crowd doing. I'm trying to be the best version of me and lead my life.
100%.
Who am I? And I'm
100%.
constantly asking questions.
100%. And I think that's where the development takes place in, right? When you're able to get past, when you understand where you at, you say, hey, look, you know what? I'm this good. I'm this fat. I'm this in my finances. I'm this with my family, right? But this is my goal. I'm going for this. And you give your absolute best effort at every moment, right? That's the win. The win isn't in being good or great or at the, but can you show up and give your best effort? And your best
Absolutely.
effort might not be perfect. And I've come to a consensus with myself that hey, I'm not gonna be perfect. I've been a promoter for 20 years. I don't think I'm the best promoter, but I'm gonna show up every Friday, Saturday, Monday, whatever day I gotta show up. I'm gonna show up whether I drop the ball. I'm gonna show up where I executed all my assignments. I'm gonna show up every single time. I learned. When the manager calls you into work, and let's say you're working for somebody, say, "Hey, come in my office." Hey, show up.
So,
Show up for good news. Show up for bad news. But show up every time, and you're more likely to win. And that's what we have to do continuously keep people in the game. I've seen quite a bit of my associates check out in the last 20 years because they got discouraged. They got discouraged by, not making a profit on every project, right? But one of my associates, is actually one of my family members. Man, I looked up to him the most. I watched my cousin lose consecutively in doing events over and over and over, 5, 6 times over in a row, but show up every time. And I was just asking, like, what's keeping you encouraged? And guess what? He's a full-time promoter right now, taking care of his family. What if he had let those losses discourage him? What if he decided that he wasn't good enough, like the rest of the associates that I've known for the last 20 years? He stayed in it, and right now he can boast about making a living for his family, keeping his family together off of being an entrepreneur. And that's encouraging to me. I love to see the failures and the efforts at all times. And I think that's our truth, knowing where we're at, striving every time to get to the next level. But if you stay in it and you're documenting and you're bookmarking yourself, you'll learn that you'll be a lot further from where you started.
Absolutely.
Every time. Every time.
Absolutely.
But but
Absolutely.
you have to be honest about where you at, and you have to give your best effort no matter what.
100%. Hey, and I appreciate you joining me this week, man, having this good old conversation as we always do, whether the camera's on or off. This is us
Yeah.
24/7,
Yeah,
you know,
we
and
ran into some challenges today with the rain.
for real.
Rain, sleet, or snow. We gonna show
Exactly. Hey, I want you to share the event that you got coming up, Screwfest, and
up.
where
Oh,
it's at. Give the details on that, and
oh,
give the details on where people can find you at on social media, and how can anybody look you up if they're looking for any type of coaching or any type of offers you got.
absolutely, absolutely. If you're looking for me on social media on Instagram, my name is Victor the Realtor on Instagram. My entertainment company is the Connect Group. That's the Connect GRP on Instagram. You can follow all of our events all summer. Be on the lookout. We'll be having some offers. I'm actually going to be rebranding my brand from Victor the Realtor to Victor the Coach. So be on the lookout for that. I'm pretty excited about all that's to come with my coaching and my mentorship. I've been in that space all my life from a passion, and now I'm starting a business and starting a community and being able to share some of these visions and these thoughts with the world.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it, and thank you for your time. This is the Lead Your Life talk show podcast. This is how we do it, man. We leaders of our life and leaders that lead by example. Hey, thank you for your time, Victor, and I appreciate it, man. Talk to you soon.